It only seemed like yesterday since the checkered flag fell at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to end the 2018 season and start a long, hard winter. But here we are at Teston, where the cars finally roll out to prepare for the 2019 Formula 1 season. I cannot wait. So what we're going to basically do in this episode is just kind of review the past 4 days of testing, give our opinions and stuff, and obviously I want to know everything that you've been thinking about testing as well, because obviously there's a lot to talk about, especially about one team in particular. But before we jump into this episode, guys, if you haven't already, go and check out our latest episode. Link will be in the description below, and like and subscribe if you are new around here as well, because obviously we like to see new faces, new seasons, new faces, new beginnings, as we all like to say. So obviously Circuit de Catalunya Barcelona saw pre-season testing for the 2019 Formula 1 season. Teams rolled out, obviously the brand new cars as well. Obviously before the test, we saw loads of the new liveries and stuff. Some were good, some were bad. We already gave that, and we already gave our opinions in the previous video as well. But obviously there was one noticeable absence from the test, which was Williams. Obviously a total disaster from them. Well, in the first part of testing, if you like. Obviously they are miles behind, but obviously we'll get onto them as the episode rolls on. So obviously testing is back. Obviously it is brilliant. So quite obviously we're just going to quickly give our verdicts and stuff, and see what we think about the cars. And obviously one team I want to start off with is Alfa Romeo. Now for me, to be fair, obviously when they rolled out the car before the start of pre-season testing, obviously absolutely gorgeous livery, by the way. I must say it's probably one of my favourite liveries, even though it is quite similar to last season's. I know that, but I like it how the dark red integrates with the back of the car, like obviously so it blends in, so you don't really know it's there. Like the kind of revised logo on the engine side of the car, so it is really, really good. And I was thinking to myself, I don't really know where Alfa Romeo would go with this one. So obviously we will try and stop saying Sauber at some point during the season, probably at Abu Dhabi or something, when we actually do get used to saying Alfa Romeo. But obviously Alfa rolled out brand new driver in Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi, and they, to be fair, they did absolutely brilliant. And to be fair, I'm expecting big things from them throughout the course of the season, from what I have seen so far in testing. But obviously you shouldn't really rely on their times and everything, because obviously you don't know what kind of engine settings they're running, or fuel or anything, or what kind of tyre pressures and stuff like that. So obviously I don't look at the times just yet, but obviously Kim Raikkonen are doing absolutely best. I think it was in day 3 or day 2 or day 3 when he was leading at some point throughout the course of the test. Obviously, to be fair, that did surprise me. I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting Kim Raikkonen to be so far up. Reliability as well has been spot on for the Alfa Romeo. I think they did the third most laps throughout the course of the test. So obviously, that's good on their side. That's good on their side of things as well. And also another team as well, Ferrari, looked very, very strong as well with the new partnership, the new driver lineup, you could say, of Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Obviously, loads to talk about for them throughout the course of the episode as well. So, Lyle, bring you into this. I'm going to kick off with the first question of the episode. Who for you has surprised you? I'm going to start with surprise. Who has surprised you for testing so far? So who's that team do you think, I can't see much from them, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there and you went, oh my god, actually, you know what, before I was slating them, but now I can see that they're doing quite well. So which team is surprised? Have you been quite surprised with so far?
Well, so I mean, when testing rolls around, I mean, not all the teams, like test to the max. So the big reason with testing is when a team has a breakdown, or when a team shows that they're struggling in testing, it lets all the other teams know. It's quite obviously the season hasn't even started yet. They haven't even gotten to Melbourne, and it's a bad sign. When the car breaks down or it shows any kind of problem. So not all the teams show the true colours. Obviously, in the past as well, a lot of the boards have been up. You can't look in the garage, and it's testing and it's open. And obviously, for example, like Sky Sports F1, showing all the 4 days live, and obviously they're showing the next 4 days next week live. But even though that's the case, a lot of obviously is still kind of kept, very hush. A lot of things in the paddock are boarded up and things like that. It's not all out in the open to see. But there's been a few teams that have really been, testing and showing off that they are going to be the best team, or they're going to be the best that they can be, or really when they get to Melbourne in a month's time, they're going to perform to the max. I have a few teams in mind, but basically one of the big teams, and I never slated them, but they haven't obviously been at the top. They've got obviously Mr. Neely Man in it. They've had a few rotty drivers, obviously especially Jolyon Palmer in the background. Obviously Carlos science with a big improvement for the team. But obviously now they've got Mr. Smiley, Daniel Ricciardo, and that obviously is Renault. Definitely. Now, Renault really surprised me. Now, obviously, you've probably seen, if you didn't watch testing, or you did, you'll have seen in the news, obviously, two big problems. Nico Hülkenberg broke down on Thursday, which was the last day, day 4. He broke down twice, actually. I think there were gearbox, and the second one was an unknown mechanical failure. But then, obviously, above that, he does one of the least amount of laps in the day, and obviously sets the fastest time of 1:17, just ahead of Alexander Albon in the Toro Rosso. Don't ask me how that happened. And the second one was Daniel Ricciardo. Now, he had one of the biggest shunts in pre-season. Now, you've always got to have a big shunt in pre-season. You remember 2015, Fernando Alonso crashed when he thought he was back in 1992, and obviously missed the first race in Melbourne. Lewis Hamilton, I think it was 2013, the very first time he drove for Mercedes, he had a big crash going rearwards into the back in the wall in Jerez. And obviously one of the biggest crashes, as I've said, with Daniel Ricciardo was he had a DRS and a rear wing failure. Obviously that absolutely flew off in basically a high speed part of the circuit, and obviously span off. No damage to him, a little bit of damage to the car, but obviously that was a big implication. And it showed everyone, okay, well, I think he's made a bad move. I mean, he's been in the car, what, 10...
Everyone jumped on Twitter. No, Daniel Ricciardo's crashed. He shouldn't have moved around now. What they're doing, they can't build a rear wing. I can hear them now. I can see them now. Just
yeah, that's obviously that's definitely what they're sounding. Thank you for that. Thank you, John. And yeah, he'd been in the car about 10 minutes, man, and he crashes. I mean, come on. Nothing big came out of that day. Obviously, when he crashed, but obviously a good time from him. Quite consistent through pre-season, through testing as well. Obviously, this test today. They had a good season last year. They were fighting the top teams. I think there was 4th place in the constructors that they got, and it was good. Now they want to be higher than that. Daniel Ricciardo definitely does. It's a good partnership going up. They're quite reliable. A lot more things are out in the open. As I said, John, just at the start of that, a lot of things out of Renault are out in the open. All the teams have seen them crash. No boards have been around in the garages, and I believe that they're going to be. Well, actually, okay, before I finish that sentence, I actually said to Jordan the other day when we met up, I said, there's 2 teams in my mind that are going to be the best this year. They're going to be the best that they can, and they are actually going to have strong seasons, and that is Renault and Alfa Romeo. Now, they had an okay pre-season. Yeah. Giovinazzi, really good driver. He hasn't had that much time in the car. It's mainly been Kimi, right? And obviously he was out in the first test in Italy last week when obviously they released the car for the first time. Obviously, and then since they released their car back on Monday, he's been in the car every day bar one. Obviously, when Giovinazzi tested, which I believe was yesterday on Wednesday, day 3, they had a good time. Obviously, Kimi's really getting the most out of that car. And Jordan, you said anyone that I slated last year, and I want to kind of make a little bit of an improvement on that, because obviously, as you know, guys, I haven't been slating Kimi Räikkönen, but I've said a lot of the time he didn't deserve to be at Ferrari, and that was my personal opinion. He didn't. He had a win that came 115 years after his most recent one, which was in the US Grand Prix. Obviously, 115 years, 115 races. That's a David Croft joke, if you didn't get that. 115 races was a big one. And in that time, I didn't think he was improving. I didn't really like him as a driver. He was 39 years old, and he turns 40 at the I think it's like midway through this season. It wasn't great for him, but obviously I love the move to Sauber. I thought it was really, really Alfa Romeo did it again. Sorry, Jordan. Yes. Right. We're not gonna get that name down anytime soon. We haven't even said that we haven't even got onto the pink team and said their former name yet. But for Kimi.
Here we go.
Yeah, okay, I didn't really like him at Ferrari, but I think the move that he's done with Sauber, and the times that he's done, and the performance that he's done in the car, and just basically, out of a hunch, really, I do think that he's got a better fit here, and obviously also Giovinazzi as well. I think he was a good driver. He's performed well in the days that he has driven the car. Obviously, when he was in Formula 2 and the other formulas, he has done an okay job. He came in last year as a test driver. Obviously, 2 races, crashed on both of them. He didn't have the best rep, a bit like a Daniel Kvyat kind of rep, but he has shown his good colours. The car looks amazing. Obviously, new revamp. Obviously, Sauber, the name's gone. Obviously, a big change up in the team. So I think that Alfa Romeo are going to be good. So obviously, as I say, Renault and Alfa, very good. And the last team I think that have done well, as Jordan mentioned, is Ferrari. Now, just on the back of what I said about the team showing their true colours, Ferrari kind of have. Renault have, they've no board in sight. They've been shoving the car. Obviously, they've had a few shunts, but obviously Nico got the fastest time in day 4. Obviously, one of the days last week. And so Ferrari. Obviously, Charles Leclerc got the fastest time on day 2. He looks great in that car, and that car looks fantastic. Now, in the comments, guys, leave. I'm gonna ask you a question. Leave it down in the comments below. Orange or red? Is the car orange or is the car red? Because I'm hearing a lot of debate, orange or red. That's going to be like one of them, like, what colour was the dress, or, them internet challenges. But,
Not this
but that's old stuff. This is going to be the new one. Is the car orange or is the car red? To be honest, it sometimes looks orange, but I think it's the lighting. In Singapore and in Bahrain, it'll look Ferrari red, but it looks really, really nice. Obviously, one of their new main partners now, obviously, which is that Mission Win now. Love that name. Obviously, so like kind of more of a matte black kind of colour has come into the team as well. Obviously, Charles Leclerc looks great in the team. Sebastian Vettel hasn't tested as much. It's been mainly Charles this year. They want this test. They really want him, fit in the car. They want to get him in very, very soon. I forgot how old he is, but he's 21, something like that. So they want him in the car. 21. They want him in the car. They want him ready for Melbourne, obviously, because Seb's been there before. Charles hasn't, obviously, especially not with Ferrari. And I think that they've done a really good job this time. They've had a few spins, they've had a few problems on track, only minor. As I say, no real boards in sight. And yeah, obviously we've had a shake-up in the team. We talked about Binotto, obviously replacing Arriva Bene. We talked about that 2 episodes ago. Yeah. And yeah, I absolutely love those. So to be honest, Jordan, so as I just said, Renault and Ferrari, those are the 2 teams that really impressed me in testing. Obviously, closely followed by Alfa Romeo. And yeah, I think Renault definitely I love them, and I didn't put them that high in the prediction video that we made, obviously, at the start of this year with Alex. But I do think that if I could go back and change it, I would put them higher. But I'm going to lock that in. I think I said Daniel 6th place, which is happy enough with that. So I probably would change my mind, but I can't. That's why we did it before testing. But yeah, Renault, great. Yeah. Ferrari, very good. Alfa, best of the rest, and then everyone else, just humming and hawing. Maybe they can have a better test too, Jordan. So obviously they're my teams. Renault, I'd say, at the top. Love that team in yellow, really, really good from them. Daniel Ricciardo, nice. Great performance by him. Nico getting fastest on the last day, really great from him. Mr. Neely, man, hopefully he can get rid of that namesake. If he watches our episode, which obviously he does, hi Nico, he might hate that name as well. Nico, leave it in the comment section. Do you hate that name, Mr. Neely, man? So Jordan, obviously they are the teams that have impressed me. Who has impressed you the most in testing these 4 days, and why? And who do you think can do better in test 2 next week?
Well, obviously, as I said at the start, the 2 teams for me, most that stood out was obviously Alfa Romeo and Ferrari. I thought, they had a very, very strong test. But another team that surprised me as well, that I'm looking at them going, you're not doing too bad, which is Toro Rosso. Now, they led the way on day 3 with Danny Kivat. He topped the timing sheet, which is very, very impressive. Now, I know that you shouldn't, I'm not going to go much into, obviously, the times and stuff like that, because I know that you shouldn't really look into it as much. But it is encouraging when your car is at the top of the standings. I think the pole position time last season at the Spanish Grand Prix was like a 1:16.1, I want to say, and the fastest we've seen, I think it was a 1:17. It was a 1:17.3. I think it was from Nico Hulkenberg on the final day. So they are there or thereabouts, which is encouraging for Honda as well. But obviously, it's just kind of proven doubters wrong, because obviously everyone's like, oh, what's Danny Kivat going to, what's he going to be like? Is he going to be the old Danny Kivat as he was, or is he going to be the Danny Kivat when he came into Toro Rosso back in 2014 as that young, hot new prospect, if you like? So it's like he's almost he's set reset on his Formula 1 career, and he's starting again. So it's all these questions as, oh, how is he going to do, instead of like can he improve on last season type of thing? And obviously Alexander Albon, coming in, brand new driver as well from the lower ranks, and obviously he was just about to go into Formula E, but then obviously that will change once once Red Bull came calling, and he did spin it immediately after he got out. I think he said in his interview, when he said, one thing I had in my mind was to not spin it, and that's exactly what I did. Well, get used to it. But obviously I think he came P2 in the final day, so again that was very, very encouraging for Toro Rosso, and I think he led the way. I think he led the way for that majority of the day as well, until Nico Hulkenberg came up and beat him, then broke down, funny enough. So sign of things to come as well. So Toro Rosso for me are looking very, very strong. However, one thing I am going to use that I think, to be fair, if I had £1 for every single time this word was said on streams, on podcasts, on TV, I think I wouldn't be here. I'll be away in the Maldives somewhere. I wouldn't be recording here with Lyle because, and that word is sandbagging. It's a massive, massive word I'm hearing it all over the place, and it is true. One of the big teams that are doing this so-called sandbagging is Mercedes, because they have been there or thereabouts in the midfield, maybe even towards the back. Cause I think Hamilton was I think Bottas was P8 and Hamilton was P9. I think, or might have been vice versa on day one. I think obviously leading the way from the Renaults, which was the last two cars at the back, and everyone was like, "Oh, I wasn't quite surprised." I wasn't expecting this. I'm quite surprised that Mercedes are quite are down there. But everyone kind of just said, "Look, don't think much about it. They have got a really quick car. They're just hiding it for now." Hamilton on the last day kind of came out and put in a very encouraging lap. I think it was like 1:17.5. I think it was, or 1:17.6. So again, proving that Mercedes still does have that pace, but we won't see that proper pace until probably, let's say, FP3 qualifying at Australia. A lot of people are saying Q3, and that's when you're going to see the true pace of the W10, which I think it's going to be a very, very, very quick car. And for me, Mercedes and Ferrari are leading the way. But one team that, if I had an improved, actually, in fact, I want to say two. I'm going to say two teams for me that I would say require improvement. One of them is Racing Point, Sports Pace and Racing Point F1, and the other one is Haas. Now, obviously, Racing Point for me, obviously, new era and everything like that. Obviously, Lance Stroll, new driver. They haven't done many laps. So I think they've done like 200. How many laps have they done? 248 laps out of the 4 days that they've been testing, which isn't a lot. Bearing in mind that that Mercedes did 610 laps in 4 days. So when you think about it that way, it's like, okay, they're like the 400 and odd laps behind the the leading teams, if you like. So that's not really that much encouraging. They might do more in the second test, but obviously I would say I don't know why he's holding back. But I do know that the car that they are running currently at testing isn't the fully spec 2019 car. It is a 2019 car, but it hasn't got everything fully on. It's just got bits and pieces here that they're just test now. I think to be fair, I think a couple of other teams will be doing this as well, not giving away their full car just yet. Wait until Australia when it's when they go, okay, this is what we had, this is what we were secretly testing, let's use it in qualifying, and boosh, shock everybody, and everyone's like, okay, well, we quickly need to develop this, and by the time they developed it, that team's already ran away with this certain advantage. So obviously I think that maybe that's the reason why they haven't been running as many laps. The other one is Haas. Now for me, Haas, again, nothing really spectacular. Reliability has been it's been a bit like, obviously teething problems, sorry, as you like, which is what you expect in testing. Obviously not everything's going to work the way you want it, but Haas for me has probably broke down the most out of everybody else, so that's not what they want to see. And another thing as well, this has got nothing to do with the actual team itself, but the sponsors have obviously came out and criticised Red Bull obviously in a very what's the word called? Very, I can't think of the word now. What's that word called? A very controversial post. That's the word I was looking for. Controversial, where they basically said, okay, powered by Rich Energy, better than Red Bull. This is only on day one, by the way, guys. And everyone was like, who's these guys? What are these saying? So that's not what you want to say from a main sponsor as well. The fact that the gloating that they beat Red Bull, another energy drink firm, on day one of testing. So it's like, what? Like, what? Oh my god! It is really embarrassing. Not what I want to say, but there you go. So I think now it's time to kind of get the elephant out. Well, discuss the elephant in the room, which is Williams for me. Now Williams missed 2.5 days of testing, which is absolutely embarrassing. Now for me, this has to be, I think it's going to be such a slow, painful season for Williams. So any Williams fans out there, I can't see he's doing well again. It doesn't go well with the livery, because I must say, I know people are saying, okay, the livery looks better on track. For me, I hate it. I just don't like it. Burn the car, start again. I do not like it. People might be like, oh god, you might be a bit too harsh. I'm not. I hate it. Get rid of it. Don't like it. Honestly, they could say the same with the car, because obviously they missed the Monday, missed the Tuesday, and then they arrived Wednesday morning. Got out on Wednesday afternoon. and they only finished on 88 laps throughout the course of testing, which, as I said, they're about 600 or 550 behind Mercedes, so they're already 2.5 days behind everybody else. The car, obviously, it's rumoured that the car's going to be 2 seconds slower. It's going to be 2 seconds off the pace, and I think the fastest time has been about a 120 odd, which obviously they're not going for the fastest times, of course. They're not going to be up there, but let's say obviously they improve that time. Let's say to 118 or maybe in the mid 119s. Come qualifying, let's say at the Spanish Grand Prix, when they're up the engines and stuff, that's still nowhere near where I'm expecting the other cars to be. I'm expecting to be 116s, high 117s, maybe mid 117s for maybe like the lower teams that might not do so well, like maybe your Hasses or maybe your Toro Rossos or your Alfa Romeos, perhaps, if it does come to that. So it isn't good. It is absolutely embarrassing. You've had more than enough time to do so. There's been a lot of questions about Claire Williams' future and stuff. Like, should we resign? Should she be sacked? And I think, to be fair, I don't really go too harsh on Claire Williams, to be honest. I think there is more to the problem than just her. There are other people within the team that we know and that we don't know that are the problem that need to be resolved. But obviously, we shouldn't really be discussing much about that, to be honest. We should be looking at the car. I was going to say George Kubica's back. Robert Kubica's back. George Russell made his first appearance in Formula 1. Very, very encouraging as well to see Robert back and to see George Russell test the car. But it's not what they want. Certainly not. I think if Robert Kubica, well, if this car keeps it up and if it's becoming really, really slow, I can't see Robert Kubica being there much longer, because he wants to, almost like a Eureka kind of moment, come back into Formula 1 after the pain he's been through, which has been abysmal. Obviously, he's been poor to see, but obviously good to see him back. But we don't want to see him at the back. It's absolutely, it'll be atrocious for seeing him doing that. And obviously, Williams, they need to book up their ideas. It's obviously one of the best teams in Formula 1 in terms of history. Everyone loves them. Family-ran team. Frank Williams, obviously, he still is team principal, if you like. Claire Williams has just run the day-to-day process. She's actually down as deputy team principal. So obviously, she doesn't fully call. Well, she does fully call the shots, but obviously she can't, decide, other people's futures, if you like. So obviously, chances are it might be up to Frank or maybe someone else who will kind of decide, reshuffling the team or whatever. So, I mean, Lyle, it's going to be a painful season for Williams. I can't see, unless they somehow go to Barcelona next week and then actually prove us all wrong and actually have a reliable car and have a good test. But from missing 2.5 days of testing, when Vettel banged out 160 odd laps, 168 laps, I think he did, on day one, and Williams hadn't even completed a lap up until the afternoon on the Wednesday. So Ferrari had already clocked about 300-400 laps by this stage. So they're going to be well behind. So what do you think about? Well, what's your opinion on the situation at Williams?
I mean, Williams, yeah. I was just thinking about them the other day. Like when we started in the V6 era, they had 2 consecutive the team third place in the constructors in 2014 and 2015. It was absolutely it was insane for Williams. At that point it was really, really good for them. Obviously, they had 1 win in 2012. They've had rocky history, obviously, as John has just said. Great historical team. Obviously, best period for them is mid to late 90s as well. Obviously, after the death of Ayrton Senna at the team, obviously picked the way up. Damon Hill obviously contesting the championship on multiple occasions and obviously won it in 96. Fantastic for them. Early 2000s, not great. The 2010s, pretty good, obviously, as I say, doing well. And again, the V6 era, it had a good start, but since 2015 third place, they've been on a bit of a downhill slope. And obviously last year, Sergei Sorokin and Lance Stroll, I mean, Lance, he brings the money, but that's not, he's still an okay driver. Sergei Sorokin, less said about him the better, and obviously they finished, really just kind of abysmal. A really terrible season from them. They had to really pick themselves up, and obviously we heard about the new pairing. Really young George Russell, he was fresh. He had a really, he just wanted to. He was really a second Daniel Ricciardo, Jordan. He always wanted to smile. You could never see him having a gloomy day. And then obviously Robert Kubica, everyone's excited to see, what he can do. Obviously, Formula 1 driver, from the past, about 10 years ago now. Obviously, rallycross driver, went through his accident, and obviously he's back on the grid. Car came out late. The livery came out first last week, almost 2 weeks ago now. It came out and it was like, what? Obviously, because they lost Martini as a sponsor, And, well, for example, okay, Jordan, I'll tell you what I expected it to look like, okay? Do you know on the, well, when we go to Middle Eastern races, obviously we don't allow alcohol, and also the one on the F1 games, you know, the blue and white kind of stripes, and the one that just says Williams Racing, I was expecting something like that, not that, which, to be honest, looks like a year 6 student has designed that on paint in his lunch break. I mean, come on, guys, that is pretty bad. You know, anyone got a son or daughter in Williams? Maybe they've done it on the computer when you haven't been looking, but just, you know, come on, it didn't look great. And was it called Rocket Williams? That's a cool name, mine, but
Rocket
yeah,
Williams,
not great.
but obviously they need a rocket to bloody boost that car, the front.
They do. I mean, that might have been their shit. That's what we might have been waiting for, Jordan. Car was late. Came out late. It wasn't great, but anyway, let's just skip over that and let's get into testing. You know, I mean, not great out of testing. I wasn't expecting work, Jordan. I wasn't expecting, like, what's the word, like, not lightning bolts, like, I wasn't expecting miracles, I wasn't expecting fireworks, I wasn't expecting them to be contested. As you said, Ferrari and Sebastian Vettel, I was not expecting them to be up there. No way. To be honest, the closest that they were probably going to get is contestant Toro Rosso, but obviously, as you've just said, Toro Rosso had a great pre-season testing, but, you know, not great, but, you know, pretty good. Obviously, as I say, second fastest, Danny Kvyat was fastest in day 3, Alexander Albon second fastest in day 4. You know, so Williams, you know, not there really, but, you know, showing signs of improvement. But on the lighter side, on the kind of a progress side, I want to, you know, bring your attention to just one thing that I heard. I think it was yesterday. It was literally just a George Russell interview, you know, it's simple as that. He wasn't even in the car. I think Robert was in the car at that point, you know, narrowly missing a crash with Lewis Hamilton. And he said, this is on Sky Sports at F1 UK, and he basically said that, you know, obviously the question was, you know, do you see Robert as a challenger, as a competitor? And obviously he, you know, George Russell said, okay, yeah, of course, your teammate is your number one rival. Obviously there's been some big ones in the past you're only supposed to work with. It's a very love-hate relationship. You've got to balance that. And he said, like, quite openly said, look, all right, we've met, you know, we've talked together, and yeah, obviously we're going to be, you know, battling each other, but we're not going to put the team at risk. You might think that's a bit of a standard statement, but then he said, last year, you know, we had our 2 drivers, you know, very low down. You know, I think third year Sorokin was he rock bottom? You know, and Lance Stroll was about, you know, 18 to 19, so I can't really remember off the top of my head. But, you know, they were, you know, bottom in the championship drivers. In the constructors, you know, really struggling again was that bottom, were they bottom, and contesting people like Sauber and McLaren and watching them slip through they were slipping through the cracks of those 2 teams. Basically, so George Russell said, you know, me and Robert, we're contesting each other. He's, yes, our number one rival, and obviously we've got to work together, but we're not going to be contesting 19th position, 20th position by each other. We're going to be working more together, more than any other team in the garage, in the F1 paddock, to basically boost Williams. And I thought, okay, that's quite a mature thing to say, that, you know, the drivers isn't going on hold, but instead of thinking, okay, we're going to be fighting over the smallest positions at the back, we're going to be helping the team progress. You know, when you might be looking at other teams and thinking, well, they're fighting for kind of the, you know, the late teams, the mid-teens positions in the championship, the ones where you think, okay, they matter a little bit, but not loads. You know, they don't really contest to anything. If Williams are going to be, you know, to mid to low teens, they're not going to be battling each other and thinking, George Russell's not going to finish and go, oh, I'm going to finish 18th. Kubica's in 19th. Oh, that's unbelievable. I'm going to have the best summer of my life in 2020. It's mine. He's going to be thinking, well, I'm going to work with him. I'm going to work with Robert, and, you know, I might finish 18th and 19th, and I might beat Robert. But if we've helped the team progress and help them in the and help them in the constructors, then that's my job done. And I just, to be honest, Jordan, I just thought it was a very mature thing that George said, and I really liked it. You know, to me, it kind of really stood out and showed that, you know, they have a great pairing, and they're going to be some great guys to watch in the paddock, because not only are they going to be battling each other, but they're going to be helping the team. And it's a great team, as you said, John. It's historical. It's one of the only teams that it's the only team which is actually named after somebody now. You know, and I'm trying to think if that's right. Well, Ferrari, I guess, but like, obviously Frank Williams at the helm. As you say, it's a family-owned business. It's family-owned, business side, and it's one of the only ones. Great pedigree, great legacy, and yeah, I think they've got really the two. Probably. Well, I don't want to say great, but a great pairing, and I thought it was a great thing that George Russell said. I haven't seen Kubica in an interview yet, but I did think it was one of the best things George Russell said, and he just looks like a guy who's going to work together. They look like people who are going to work together. who are going to think, okay, well, he's really young and inexperienced, really old, and he has got experience, but obviously not. He hasn't been in F1 for a decade. Instead of battling each other, we're going to work together for the team, for a team who is struggling. They are struggling this year. They've had to drop loads of partnerships. Obviously, they've lost the money, for example, that Lawrence Stroll and Lance Stroll brought into the team.
Yeah.
Obviously, Martini vacated over the winter. So they have lost funding, they have lost partnership, they have lost money. Obviously, the car is a bit more kind of stripped away. It's a bit more of a it isn't as advanced as it was back in the past. And they're working together for the team, so it's promising for Williams. What I've seen is promising. It wasn't great in testing, but it's just promising. And to be honest, next week, Jordan, it's probably going to be at the back of the grid.
Thanks.
But I can just see, I don't know, I hope there's more fire. I hope they work together for the team. If we don't see any reliability problems by Williams, that's a check off, for their team. That's, you know what I mean? Like, if they don't have any problems, because then you're like, reliability obviously is one of the biggest killers. Well, if not the biggest killer, on the grid. And if Williams don't have any problems, then that's absolutely fine. You can then say, they've actually done a really good job. This in this testing period, and then obviously go Melbourne, they don't have any problems. Touch wood. So obviously. I thought it was good, and obviously, as I say, that interview, Jordan, might not stood out to everyone else, but for me, it was promising for Williams. I was like, okay, they could be onto something here. But Williams, not fantastic. But there's one team that I want to talk about, which obviously, as you know, I want to do really, really well. I forgot I'm actually wearing Haas. I forgot about that. It's not Haas. It's Red Bull. I was going to say I should be wearing Red Bull. So obviously, Red Bull Racing, Red Bull Honda come into testing now. New teammate, Pierre Gasly. Obviously, we've talked about Daniel Ricciardo quite a lot. Obviously, he's never said that it was a bitter relationship between him and Max or anything like that towards Red Bull, but we know that Daniel was falling out of love with Red Bull toward the end. Red Bull were falling out of love with Renault, and it was a big change to go to Honda, especially with Toro Rosso doing a pretty good season last year. Now, the results came through, and I think every day they were pretty stagnant. Max 8, Max 7, Pierre 8, Pierre 7. Pretty, okay in the cars. They were doing about the same kind of laps, mid to high double figures every single day. And, it was promising in that car. They weren't really showing any kind of waves as well. No reliability problems for the team, which was good. But I want to say one thing which I heard in commentary, and it kind of also stands from last year as well. So there's two drivers, as you know, that are kind of, one driver from last year that could be under a little bit of problems, a little bit of conspiracy, a little bit of controversy, and he's really got to step up his game, is Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes. Now, obviously, a lot of people are thinking he's not going to win races this year. I've heard it on commentary as well. It hasn't been looking that promising for him, but it's been looking like Lewis Hamilton's going to run off into the distance, and basically Mercedes are going to give him everything he wants. Now, obviously, now that Daniel Ricciardo's left Red Bull, it might look like Max is getting everything, because Daniel made it clear that Red Bull were kind of tailoring the team around Max. Now, obviously, Pierre Gasly, who's been doing more testing in numbers of laps than Max Verstappen, has basically looked like the team has been focusing on Max more than as Pierre. Like Ferrari, obviously, they want Pierre to, kind of get into the team, like they have Charles Leclerc, but unlike that, they are focusing mainly on Max Verstappen and not Pierre Gasly. And it just got us thinking, especially when I heard it on the commentary, when they were talking about, drivers winning, how many drivers is it going to be, who's going to win, is Red Bull going to win races, and all signs are pointing to Max Verstappen. It doesn't look like Pierre Gasly is getting as much support as Verstappen has. Now, obviously, Verstappen's been at the team longer, but he's only got a handful of wins. 5, 4, 5, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's only a few. He had that miracle race in 2016 Spain, then after that it kind of just became average for Max Verstappen. Average races, he's had problems, yes, he's crashed before, he's a good driver, obviously he's my favourite, but he's not a miracle like he was, back in 2016, that's what people thought. And now he's got the new teammate of Pierre Gasly. It looks like the team is more focused on Max, and really, like Valtteri Bottas, I think Pierre's really got to stand up, make a statement for himself early in that team, early in that car, and say, right, I am here to stay. A statement, Jordan, which is very similar to what Daniel Ricciardo did in 2014 with Red Bull. Kind of, knocked Seb out the way, said, I'm here to stay, and then obviously he equated that into 3 wins at Canada, Hungary and Belgium, and that's what I think Pierre has to do. But Red Bull on the whole, okay in testing. They were quicker than they were on par with Mercedes. Sometimes they were quicker as well, doing about the same amount of laps, basically same progression as Mercedes as well. a little less sandbagging, but obviously, as Jordan said, that's the S word. That's what's going to be said more than Sauber this year, especially this episode and next. Yes, definitely. But yeah, Red Bull, good performance, but it's not the best. They haven't been up there. They haven't been contesting with Ferrari, obviously, who have really been added from the start. Like I said at the start of the episode, they haven't been sandbagging. They're the ones, probably the only team who have been showing their true colours from the start. But Red Bull Racing, I'm just a little bit disappointed in them. I thought they'd be showing more in testing. I think they've had a few little minor reliability problems, but again, apart from that, no real problems. It just feels like, from what I've seen, Max might be getting the better end of the stick at Red Bull. And well, Jordan, I mean, just going into your the next part. Do you think that's fair? Not just for Pierre, but for Valtteri as well. Obviously, as we know from last year, Valtteri's really got to step up his game. Not because we think he's a bad driver, not because everyone else does, but obviously because Lewis is getting more. Do you think that Red Bull are now firmly at Max's helm? Do you think that they should share the work? Do you think they are at the moment? And do you think Pierre really should make a statement in that team and say, "I'm here to stay," and everything should be equal?
Well, obviously, first of all, on Valtteri Bottas, I think the situation over there is a little bit different because he's going up against a 5-time world champion, arguably one of the best F1 drivers of the modern era, if you like, or even of all time, if you want to argue that. So obviously Gasly, he's going up against Max Verstappen, who's won 4 or 5 races. So it is a big difference. But obviously Bottas didn't have a good season last season. He's got a lot to prove. As is Gasly, I wouldn't say not as much to prove as Bottas, but still, something to prove to the Red Bull bosses that okay, I am here to, I do mean business. I'm not going to be dedicated and get demoted back to Toro Rosso. You know what I mean? I don't want to start this whole situation of trading places 2 again. So I do know, what I mean. Even though the views were good on that video as well, if I must say so myself. But obviously, I think one of the main reasons why I personally think that Daniel Ricciardo left Red Bull was because that the team was finally starting to fold around Max Verstappen, because it was a long-term thing. Because Verstappen's 21-year-old, 22 years old, so he's got a lot. He's going to be in Formula 1 for a long time, especially at Red Bull. That's if the other big teams don't come and grab him first, of course. But even if he doesn't, even if he's not with Red Bull, he could be with Mercedes, Ferrari. Even he could go to Renault if Renault decide to prop up and actually challenge for the championship. Let's say in 2021 when the engine regulations change. So Verstappen's going to be in Formula 1 no matter what. So obviously, if Red Bull do want to become a championship winning team again, they have to build the team around, Verstappen. And obviously, I think Ricciardo kind of knew what was coming. To be fair, whether he didn't know this and he left it anyways, or he kind of like looked at what was going on, kind of, and maybe heard something and kind of said, okay, I don't want to be like kind of like cast to one side. I don't want to be the number 2 driver. He's 29 years old now, so he wants to be winning races on a regular basis. He wants to be fighting for the championship at least, putting his foot in the door. And with Red Bull, he hasn't exactly done that. He impressed in his first season, and since then he just hasn't really been there. I think he's won 7 races out of 4 or 5 seasons at Red Bull. I said this before, that is nowhere near good enough. That's not Daniel Ricciardo's fault, of course. That's Red Bull, and probably you could argue Renault, not delivering a good package for him. So now he's gone to Renault. I don't know why, in terms of to look for a championship, because he by looks of it, he doesn't personally believe the Honda package will work, or it's either that or the fact that Verstappen, that Red Bull are forming the team around Verstappen. But I think for me, I think Gasly shouldn't really look at this and go, okay, they're going to favour they are going to favour Verstappen more than me, because if Gasly does start beating Verstappen, it's going to put pressure on Verstappen, and the team will then go, okay, do we then put it on Gasly? Or do we just look at them at both? And what I personally think what should happen is that if Red Bull do want to be a consistent winning team again, obviously Honda must deliver. That's a crucial thing. They need to keep all the best men within the team, and women of course. Keep them in the team so that Red Bull can obviously go forth and relive their glory days, if you like. And just keep these two happy as well. And if both of them are fighting together, then I think Red Bull should just keep those two, happy, build the team around them both, not just one in particular driver. However, if one of them, Gasly, let's say if Gasly more so than Verstappen, if Gasly does start to fall away, I'd imagine that they'll be looking for a replacement probably within the next 2-3 seasons. But the Gasly does need a chance. You know, they can't just say after one season, let's say Gasly finishes P6. Okay, Gasly, you're gone. No, you've got to give him a chance. A bit like Leclerc and Ferrari. Let's say Leclerc finishes P6 and everyone's going, okay, where was the speed? How can we do well at Sauber then didn't do well at Ferrari? It is a massive task and a massive ask to be at the top team as well. It's a lot of pressure because all the media, there might be a couple of journalists on you when you were near the back of the grid, but now we're at the front of the grid, especially in a Ferrari. Everyone's going to be looking at you. All the sponsors are going to be going, okay, you better impress. So there's a lot more demand on yourself, especially with Gaz as well. He won't be used to this. Verstappen will be. He's pretty much been brought up with it. Obviously, Gasly coming through the ranks. A lot of potential in him. So for me personally, I think they should build the team around them both, so that they can go forward, and become a successful winning team. Obviously, let us know your opinions in the comment section below. But before we finish, there's one team we haven't discussed, which for me has the best looking car on the grid, which is McLaren. I honestly, well,
biased.
It might be biased.
That's biased. You're fanboy.
Call me fanboy or whatever, but honestly, I absolutely love the design of that car. The Mercedes is up there for me. When I seen the Mercedes, I was like, oh my god, jaw drop. That is beautiful. That for me is my favourite car. I seen the McLaren, I knew it was going to be orange and blue. I seen the look of it and I was like, oh my god, that is lush. I just absolutely love it. It looks even better on track. And the little shark fin thing at the back, I actually quite like that, to be fair. But obviously we're not here to talk about aerodynamics and everything, or mini shark fins or a flipper or whatever you want to call it. Obviously talking about the two drivers. Now obviously McLaren actually finished in P2. I know we're not going to discuss the times, but let me have my 5 minutes of glory, okay? McLaren finished P2 on the first day and second day. In Carlos Sainz the first day and Lando Norris the second day. Now of course McLaren were having some teething problems. I think you had, I think Gasly. I think Norris crashed the car on day 4, and then I think we had a problem with what's his face? I was going to say Norris there. Oh my god! Carlos Sainz obviously had a problem with getting going when he tried to practice start. The whole car just shut down. So this is the thing. What I'm expecting. I thought, right, okay, if all these problems are going to happen now, let them happen in testing. But McLaren aren't exactly showing anything spectacular. Right now, it's not going to be like okay, here's McLaren. This is how they used to be. It's going to be a development season. I can't see any change from them till probably maybe say 2021 when the engine regulations change, as I've already said. They might do well, but I can't see amazing things as well. But obviously it's nice that like the media aren't exactly, or even McLaren themselves aren't hyping the fact that okay, we're gonna fight for podiums, we're gonna fight for this. It's just let's do what we can with these two drivers, and let's hope for the best. McLaren did 445 laps in total throughout the course of the 4 days, which is okay. No breakdowns, which I'm could say no breakdowns, but no 2015, no 2017 Malarkey. It was plain sailing. It was nice and smooth. For me, McLaren must be fighting towards the top end of that midfield if they want, if they do want to progress and actually have like a consistent season. Because you remember last season they started off really, really well, then dipped off form completely towards the end of the season. In my opinion, that bar the Williams, they had the worst car on the grid in 2018 at the second half of the season. Probably one of the main reasons why Fernando Alonso left the team, and it made things kind of awkward when he finished in P6, I think it was in Australia, and then he said, okay guys, we can now fight. Yes, fight each other because we are sick of being at the back. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, Lyle, just quickly on McLaren,
yes.
What do you think of their overall rating in testing?
Testing, to be honest, Jordan, was quite quiet from them. McLaren have come out, a bit more strong. I think I've been a lot of watching more. Do you know what, John? I know it sounds really strange, but like I've said in this episode, I think, to be honest, it's not really what they're doing testing. It's kind of like the interviews that people are doing. That's where I start picking up on, like kind of in the tone of the voice and what they're going to be doing. Like for example, when I watched Danny Ricks and blah blah blah. Yeah, and I watched an interview with Zach Brown and obviously the team principal at McLaren. He was more confident about this year. Said that they've had a good summer, obviously, and with that Renault partnership is really, really good. Obviously, one less to work with. Obviously, now that they've lost Red Bull, And yeah, just to have a really strong partnership with them. I think they've got more together than they have in recent years, especially when Honda came in 2015. Don't know why. And in terms of the drivers as well, we haven't seen loads from the two drivers. Obviously, Lando Norris, not doing the best impression for his start to. Well, it's not the start of the season, but the first, what we see of him.
Yeah, first.
Though I do like him, and I know obviously me and Jordan, really, really like him. He has a YouTube channel, he does vlogs and stuff. He's a bit more of a lad's lad, and he's a great British guy. I mean, I've got to say, Jordan, just on a related note, we've got some great British people on the grid. When we had Jenson Button, I liked him. Julian Palmer, not really. I kind of feel a bit sorry for him because he didn't get that many cheers. If you remember when we went to Silverstone, but I mean, come on, it's Julian. It's Julian Palmer.
For me, he was a better punter than he was driver, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously Lewis Hamilton, who's never going to leave for another few years. Obviously, make of him what you will. But apart from that, we've got some. For this year, I'm saying we've got some great British people. Driving. In the team. There's George Russell. Good character. I think he's going to work well with Williams and Lando Norris. Probably one of my favourites. British people on the grid this year. Really. Yeah, just great. And then obviously Carlos Sainz, he did a great job with Renault last year. I remember Toro Rosso, he didn't really make waves for me. It was when he went to Renault and he really stepped up his game. So those two drivers, I think they're going to work well. Obviously Carlos has got a big foot, he will put his foot down in the team and say, look, I'm running this. Let's hope Lando does as well. Let's hope they get on, but let's hope they can work together for points and basically, obviously, just boost everything. Obviously, British team, British origins, and yeah, let's just hope they have a good season. Testing hasn't been great for them, but I think there's more confidence. Probably the most confidence, Jordan, going into this season than there was, I would say, let's have a guess and say 2013 McLaren, Mercedes, obviously, when you had Checo in the team. Hamilton just left, JB had a great season in 2012, obviously surpassing 300 Grand Prix, and Checo, obviously new guy from Sauber, let's do it. It didn't work like that, he was gone, and then obviously since then he's gone downhill. So my kind of on a hunch, Jordan, I'm saying McLaren have the same amount of confidence as they did in 2013 when they were with Mercedes, but that's just my guess, let's just hope they do really well.
To be fair, I'm hoping and praying that McLaren do really well in 2019. Sorry, we do need that eureka kind of moment, that season where we go, okay, McLaren are actually back to fight. It is going to be still a long, development process. I think 2019 is just going to be like a development year. Possibly 2020, and if we're still with Renault in 2021 and Renault get it right, hopefully it can be the start of something spectacular for McLaren, so that the new generations of Formula 1 fans and the oldies can enjoy the joys of McLaren again. Let's hope that Williams will be up there as well, fighting towards the top. But obviously that's where we end this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching. But before we go, I'm going to quickly run you down the times, the fastest times, and the overall laps throughout the first pre-season test of 2019. So obviously the fastest time was from Nico Hulkenberg with a 1 minute 17.393. Second place was Alexander Albon, shock horror, 117.637. Third place was Danny Kvyat. Oh my word! Imagine if Australia was like this, guys.
What's going on?
Exactly, I can't believe it. Obviously third place Danny Kvyat with a 117.704. Fourth place Kim Raikkonen, 117.762. Fifth place Daniel Ricciardo, happy man, 117.785. Sixth place Valtteri Bottas, 117.857. Don't jump the gun straight away when I read this next one. Seventh place Lewis Hamilton with 117.977. Oh my God, Bottas has finished ahead of Hamilton. No one's going to win the championship. But this is these next two, it's going to be even worse when they find out this.
I'm waiting.
Eighth place was Charles Leclerc with 188.046, and guess who was in number 9?
I'm going to guess it's the one who, basically, this guy is at a contention for number 5, and it's going Charles away, isn't it? Is it number 5 out the window?
Well, it was actually Sebastian Vettel, of course.
Yeah.
With the 118.161, which he set on day 1, and that was obviously the overall fastest time on the first test. And in 10th place we have Lando Norris with the 118.431. Obviously, those times are irrelevant, so you can just forget them.
Yep.
But having the total laps is what I'm very, very looking for. Obviously, I'm looking on for in terms of reliability. So Mercedes lead the way heading into the second test with an overall laps throughout the 4 days of 610 laps. Ferrari in second place with 598 laps. Alfa Romeo very, very impressive in P3 with a 507. laps. Toro Rosso as well, as we mentioned, very, very impressive from them with the Honda engine, with a 482 laps. Red Bull 475 laps, very, very impressive. McLaren 445, so obviously, you know, again, progress. Renault with 433. Haas, a couple of problems here and there, 384. Racing Point 248, as I mentioned before, and 10th place, last as always, Williams with only 88 laps. Even though they did miss 2.5 days of testing, 88 laps is better than no laps whatsoever. So if you have enjoyed this video, guys, please give it a like and subscribe if you're new around here. Obviously, let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Follow us I'll start that again. Follow us on our social medias. Obviously, it'll be below us. It'll be below us on the screen. And obviously, as I said, check out our previous video, which will be in the link in the description below. But anyways, guys, we've been Definitely Debate Show, and until next time, we'll see you later.
See you later, guys.